Hey gang, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a lovely Wednesday evening. How is everyone doing? It's been kind of a crazy week in games. Not sure how many people follow what. Have people been tuning in for Valorant streams, trying to get those drops? I know I have been. Everyone I work with is like, Valorant, Valorant, Valorant. Hey, what's up? Hey, Filthy Fan. Thanks for tuning in. You hype for Valorant? I'm actually a little hyped for Valorant. I'm not gonna lie. I was trying to get a key drop because I was like, all right, it's gonna be important for me to keep up with this game because it looks like it's gonna be a big thing. Valorant is overhyped. I don't know. It looks really good. You can't get it. You may be able to. I mean, I've been watching the streams. I haven't gotten a drop yet for the key, but I'm definitely interested in it. It looks like a really interesting mixture between Overwatch and CS:GO. Doubt you can run it. Yeah, I'm a little worried about that myself. My computer has been impressing me with its hardware lately. I'm not gonna lie. For the Monday stream, I was about 90% sure that the computer was just gonna like overheat and explode on me, or like it was gonna crash, but it did alright. And we're playing with some selective recording stuff today, so hopefully we can improve some of the VOD quality. So yeah. Why did we need that? In terms of like, why did we need a CS Overwatch combination? Honestly, I don't know. The reaction I've seen is I've been watching mostly pro CS players play it. It's kind of mixed, you know? People are talking about like it's cool that team variety is now part of the game. Yeah. So for the most part, I feel like people have been enjoying it, and honestly, it does look like a good game. It looks like or I may get a little hate for this, but it looks like a better Overwatch. It looks like if you prefer the gunplay of CS, but you really like the sort of team building aspect and like different utility variety of Overwatch, this may actually be a good game for you. But of course, if that's not your thing, you're probably not gonna like it, just like every other FPS situation. So yeah, I've definitely been watching some streams, hoping for a drop, because it does actually look really good. And if I'm gonna get into an FPS, especially like a competitive shooter, I would want to get into that one, I think. Just because the time is right, like the timing kind of works out. Because I played Apex, you know, when it first launched, and it's a good game. I think to this day, Apex is still a pretty decent game. But I'm just not very good at it, and I'm not good at most first-person shooters, to be perfectly real with y'all. But I don't know, there's a lot of really cool stuff going on with Valorant. Like, one of the things I saw is one of the characters, his ability is, like, putting out smokes. But it's not like in CS where you just have to memorize all of the angles for throwing out smokes. In Valorant, he can kind of, like, phase smokes through walls, but you can look on the mini-map and see where your smoke is going. So you can literally, like, shoot smoke grenades through walls and use the mini-map to aim for you. So I just think that it's going to have a lot of really cool strategy stuff integrated into it. And so I don't think it's an Overwatch killer. I don't think it's a CS killer. I think in that way, you are right, Neo's Apprentice, that people are probably overhyping it in that regard, but it does look like a really clean, fun game. So I am actually excited to try it out. The other thing that's really cool that's going on this week is Hearthstone. New set drops. Not sure how many people of my audience are Hearthstone players. I like to play Hearthstone casually. I'm not great at it, mostly because I don't invest enough like time or money into it to be all that great. But I think the new set looks really good, and they added a hero, and it's the first time they've ever done that. And so the new hero is Demon Hunter, and it's really fun to play. I'm not gonna lie, it's really fun to play. I played the prologue chapter to get the Demon Hunter like classic deck, and I haven't dove in too much on the ladder with Demon Hunter yet. Apparently it's very oversaturated with Demon Hunter right now, but really and truly the new set looks like a lot of fun, and I'm really glad that the new set came this week, because I was honestly starting to get to a point with Hearthstone where I would go up against the same 2 or 3 decks every time I was on the ladder, and it just wasn't fun anymore, especially because like certain decks just dominated the metagame, and the metagame was just thoroughly solved. And it's kind of where I used to get when I was playing competitive Pokemon a lot of the time, where certain metagames just become a solved problem. The team will always include 2 of like the top 10 usage, just because that's how it's built. Like, everyone knows those are the best choices. Even if you wanted to be more creative with your team building, it just doesn't make any sense, because those are the best choices, statistically speaking. So I'm really excited about the new Hearthstone set. I don't know if other people are, but I may even try playing some of that on stream, although y'all can laugh at me at how bad I am, because I'm not good. But cool week in games for new stuff. So Valorant streams going on. If people get drops and they're super excited, feel free to like cheer and chat and be like, yo, I got the drop finally, because I totally understand that grind. And also, like, if you're into the new Hearthstone set, let me know, because it seems really cool, and I'd love to hear people's opinions on it. Also, not as good news in games this week. Poor Gearbox developers. Am I right? I don't know if people know. You'd be interested, Filthy Fan? Cool. So maybe we'll dig into some Hearthstone in that case, and maybe we'll dig into some Valorant. Oh yeah, F's for Gearbox developers. I've gotten to such a place with Gearbox of like, I loved Borderlands 1, I loved Borderlands 2. Everything about Borderlands 3 just makes me want to throw myself off a roof, honestly. It's just like, from making jokes about firing the voice actor for Claptrap to like now if you're not familiar, the news article is essentially Gearbox was hiring a bunch of people to work on Borderlands 3, and they specifically paid them less based on the idea that they would get bonuses if the game did really well. Drops the Michael is playing Hearthstone while I watch you. Thanks, Mike. I hope you're winning more than last set, because I know both you and I had that struggle. Yeah, so basically they were promised bonuses if the game did well, and the game did do well, so they hit the mark that would have been for getting bonuses, and now the company is like, yeah, just kidding. We're not going to pay you. So people are really mad about that. And honestly, they should be. I think that the way that game developers get treated industry-wide is just inexcusable. And I think that as much as we can and can't influence that as the players, I would say I definitely encourage people to vote with your wallet in that sense of, like, if you see companies acting immorally, I highly encourage you to withdraw your support from those companies. And it's unfortunately a thing that we're seeing a lot more of, but it's why I haven't bought Borderlands 3, is because I just, as much as I love the series, and as much as honestly I do want to play that game, I don't feel like I want to give them my money because of the way that they have been treating people lately. But so anyway, mostly exciting stuff, little bit of bad stuff, and of course global pandemic, which is all the ongoing bad stuff. But today we're just gonna do a nice short stream. Randy gonna be Randy. Yep. Randy allegedly. My hand okay? Yes, my hand is actually okay. I'm wearing the brace because my wrist will act up if I spend too much time playing or like on the computer. And I've been on the computer working and like playing stuff a lot more than usual lately. So that's part of why we're doing kind of a short stream today. I don't want to overwork it. The wrist brace is usually so program game strats. Yeah, not really that. It's mostly just like it's a preventative thing. In this case, because this is gonna get a little weird, but like I have very long fingers, and they don't fit a lot of controllers or keyboards all that well. So I end up like putting my wrist in really weird positions a lot of the time, especially if I'm like gaming for too long. And so this helps me like not do that and like keep my wrist in a healthy position. But it was giving me a little bit of trouble earlier today, so that's why I'm wearing it. But my hand is okay. Thank you for your concern. Yeah, but so I did do a little bit of prep for this stream. I didn't do too much off camera, but we'll dig into it now. Also, let me know how you all are doing. I'd love to hear about your weeks. All right. So, I have the stat screen pulled up here. The reason I have that pulled up is because I did a little bit of leveling off screen. Not a ton, obviously. We're still right around the area we should be for this part of the game. So total level is 33. The highest weapon we have is now +5. I also invested into Arcane so that we could... You're currently doing the Warzone event. I don't know about Warzone too much. I tried to download it yesterday and it kept crashing. So I guess I'll try again another time. Warzone is another one that I would like to try out, because I did play a lot of Modern Warfare back in the Xbox Live lobby days. So it'd be fun to get back into Call of Duty, and it's definitely a game that I'd be willing to like try and learn more mouse and keyboard stuff for. I don't know if I've talked about this too much on stream. I've been a console player basically my whole life because I never really had a PC built for gaming. So I'm trash at mouse and keyboard on everything. So you may see me pick up some mouse and keyboard games later on in this streaming experience, and it's gonna go as well as it's gonna go. But I am trying to learn. But Warzone is one of those games that I would love to learn on. Yeah, but what is the Warzone event? Let me know. Okay, so anyway, back to leveling. I bumped enough into Arcane so that we could use the Old Hunter's Bone, which gives us access to Quick Step. Oh, well, okay. I thought you meant that there was an in-game event for Warzone, not for the company. But that's alright. Yeah, so I bumped in enough to Arcane to get Quick Step. So we're going to be playing around with that. I usually don't play too much with Quick Step, but we're going to give it a shot. That's part of why I'm doing this build, actually, is so that I can play with a little more of the hunter tools that I don't usually touch, and show off some of the really cool stuff that you can do in this game. Yeah. So I didn't do too much other than that, except, just one thing. Just this one thing. Oh, wrong button. I got this! Yeah! Yeah! We got the Burial Blade. We got it super early. So the Burial Blade is actually a endgame weapon. You get it, by getting, I think it's the first hunter badge, and you can usually only get it by beating Garamond, who is the second to last boss. But if you use the Chalice dungeons, you can get one early. So I went and did that. I have become death. Yes, I have. All your base belong to me. So I have been playing around with this. This is a weapon that I'm really unfamiliar with, actually, but it is super cool. So I'll show off a little bit of what it's got in its toolkit. So we've got the basic R1s. They're big sweeps. So we get one horizontal sweep as the singular R1, two horizontal sweeps as R1, R1, and then after that, we start getting into vertical sweeps. And it just goes two horizontal, two vertical, horizontal, so on and so forth. So that's the basic R1 combo. We've got, that's the charge attack, big horizontal swipe, big vertical swipe, regular R2, so we can do R2 into R1, R1. That's a pretty typical combo. And then we've got, this is the transforming attack. So that's cool. Just big old sweeps and transform into the scythe mode. And then, so in the scythe, we've got big ol' sweeps. This is a really good weapon for crowd control. Yes, sick! I love this. It's the coolest. The design of this weapon is so cool. It just is. So this is really good for crowd control, this big scythe mode. It's a little bit slower than a lot of the weapons I'm used to, which is weird for me, because I actually play strength weapons a lot. I was expecting, because this is a mostly skill weapon, it is a little bit of a quality build situation, but like, it's surprisingly slow for a skill weapon. So this is the big ol' scythe moveset, and then we've got the R2. So that's just like a horizontal slice. I also find this animation very interesting. Because, like, so for the charge attack, you hold it behind you, get that leverage, and, like, go for it. And then for the regular R2, you, like, pass it behind your back and then swing it across your body, which is, interestingly enough, a very close-range attack. And then, of course, in two-handed weapons, instead of having a gunshot on our L2, we get different moves. So we get this nice overhead, just like smash, which I haven't used too much, to be honest. I find that if I am in a position where I can sneak up on an enemy and get that kind of attack off, I'm just gonna go for the charge. But it is a really interesting move. And overhead moves in Souls games are almost always useful. They just are. Because in most cases, they track. I actually haven't tested too much as to whether that tracks, but I will maybe do some of that testing today. So that's basically what we got going on. The other thing that is really cool about this weapon is, so all weapons have out of dash and like roll maneuvers. So this one gets these really quick slices with like that arcane trail. So you'll notice like you don't get that trail as much on like the normal swipes. You get like a little flash, but then when you do rolls or dashes, you get this like really, really cool flashy maneuver. And so that's pretty useful. Especially like it's really great to like dodge to the side and then get a quick slice onto enemies. And we've got it on the scythe form too. So that's the Burial Blade. This is technically the Uncanny Burial Blade. It's currently at +5. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. And if you want to know how to get the Burial Blade early, some really kind viewers dropped the hints to me in chat. I want to say it was probably Last Protagonist. Dropped it in my chat a little bit early, but I may be miscrediting. But thank you to the community as a whole for letting me know that I could do this. Basically, you just have to beat enough of the first Chalice dungeon, and then you can create a Glyph dungeon and do kind of a speed run skip to go and pick it up. So other than that, I'll show you what the Old Hunter Bone does real quick. So you just hit the normal item, and that's Quick Step. Basically, less stamina for dodge, and it's a little bit wider and has much more invincibility frames. And it only lasts a little bit of time, and it costs a Quicksilver bullet to use. Oh, it costs 4 Quicksilver bullets to use. I apologize. So that's the deal with that. Alright. So, that being said, I guess it's about time to get into it. So, I don't have too much on the agenda for today. I got 2 big things, and then from there we'll kind of like feel it out. Again, I'm not going to go too long today just because like I don't want my wrist to be destroyed. And also like I got started a little bit late because I had stuff going on earlier. But so today we're probably going to do the next step in Eileen the Crow's quest line, which also coincidentally ends the quest line of another NPC who doesn't really matter. He's just there to fight and kill. But he's a very interesting character, and we'll talk about him a little bit. And then on top of that, so we're not actually going to we're probably not going to do Paarl today. We are probably also not going to do Vicar Amelia today. Instead, I'm going to show you the way that I path out this game. So, most people would probably do Vicar Amelia or Darkbeast Paarl next. I actually do all of Henryk and take out the Witches of Henryk as my next agenda item. And so there are a couple of reasons for that. One is by doing Henryk early, you can actually make the area much easier and, in my feeling, much more balanced. In addition, it has a lot of upgrade materials, which is really, really useful for tougher fights like Paarl and Amelia. Not that Paarl and Amelia are particularly difficult, but both of them, especially Amelia, is kind of a DPS race of like, at the end of the day, you just have to output enough damage to kill Amelia in a reasonable amount of time, because she has a healing mechanic. And by beating all of Henryk, you unlock the ability to use Carol runes, which are just a whole nother way to upgrade your character. So that's why I like to do Henryk first, and I'll show off some of that today. And then if we have time, maybe we'll get a few runs in at Paarl or Amelia, depending on what people are feeling. Or we could do some NPC hunter fights. So those would be also pretty cool. So Eileen the Crow hangs out here after you have opened all of the gates in Cathedral Ward. That's really important to note. She's not just going to appear here. What you have to do is open that gate up there and all of the gates throughout Cathedral Ward. I think there are 3 in total. The way to do that is you go through the old Church Hunter workshop, drop down to the bottom, it'll bring you up top where you can open one of the gates. I did that off camera, honestly, just because it takes a little bit of time investment, and it's not that interesting, to be perfectly honest. There are parts of Cathedral Ward that we're going to do today that are much more interesting, but doing the runs to unlock the gates is just a little boring. So I decided to just get it done off camera so that we could start the day with Henryk.
Oh, hello there. Perfect timing. I must warn you not to go near the tomb below Erden Chapel in the Cathedral Ward. Henryk, an old hunter, has gone mad, and he's my mark.
So that is a cool emote, and also just the coolest dialogue. Eileen is such a badass. She's literally like, don't go to Odin Tomb. Henryk's hanging out there. He's gonna kill anyone he sees, and I'm gonna kill him. Like, I'm gonna be the one to put him down. But we're gonna give her a little help. Because actually, if she does go down there and fight Henryk by herself, there is a chance that she will die. Henryk is a really tough fight. I'm not gonna pretend that he's not. But I'm gonna show you my strategy to get it done. Because the other thing is, this is similar to a quest line in Dark Souls 1, where you have to defeat a number of monsters without the NPC taking too much damage. Otherwise, he will die, and his quest line ends there. This is like that. You can accidentally damage Eileen too much, and she will become hostile, and you won't be able to finish her quest line. So that is something to keep in mind with this. It is really tricky, but I'm going to show you basically the easiest strategy to get it done.
Don't go near the tomb below Erden Chapel in the Cathedral Ward. I have business.
Yeah, so she's just like, I got business. I gotta take care of an old idiot. So I actually really like the character of Henryk. So the deal with Henryk is that he is Gascoigne's hunting partner. They hunt together. He's like super old. Like, no one really knows why he still hunts, because he's super old. But he seems to be doing great. I also love his set. He's got a really, really cool set. So I've never actually interpreted Henryk as, like, beasting out in this game. I've always interpreted it as, upon seeing Gascoigne, like, beasted out and dead, he freaks out and just, like, wants revenge on whoever. So I guess in that sense, he is a little bit blood drunk. But I don't actually think that Henryk is, like, in danger of turning. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pick up poison knives. They are dropped in Cathedral Ward, and I'll show you where later. The reason you want to use poison against Henryk is it will prevent him from healing up or using rally. Because NPC hunters can use the rally mechanic. They can, like, recover health from hitting you. And he's tough and fast. So what you want to do is poison him so he has a tougher time rallying. So that he can't beat you and Eileen at the same time. So the first time you enter this arena, Eileen is not going to be in there. So you can start the fight by yourself. But she will come in and help you. However, if you die, which full disclosure, there's a chance that I will die in like the first try of this because Henryk is for real tough. So what I like to do, it's really, really tough to do this, but you can actually sneak up behind him if you're stealthy enough. Basically, you just have to move very, very slowly. The idea is not to make any noise, because a lot of enemies are activated by noise in this game rather than like sight or lighting. And then we're just gonna... And you can get one visceral off just straight up. And then I usually just like run away. So the trick is, once Eileen is in the fight, just throw poison knives at him and try and not get hit. You can help her out a little bit, but like be cautious, because he will 100% mess her up. All right, sweet, we did it. Now, hopefully, I did not hurt Eileen too much in that fight.
That wasn't necessary of you.
Sweet, we got it.
Thanks.
All right.
We made it with our lives.
So basically, Eileen is like, all right, you know what?
Gascoigne as well, then.
You killed Gascoigne, you helped me kill Henryk. You're all right. You're like kind of a badass.
I'm sure it had to be done. But try to keep your hands clean.
But she also like makes a point of being like, hey, don't just go around killing people for no reason.
To me. Try to keep your leave the hood.
And Henryk, of course, drops air, which is a Carol rune. So I think this is actually all we have to do for Eileen's quest line. I think at this point there isn't much you can do to mess it up if you do this correctly. I could be wrong there. Basically, if you don't go around killing every single NPC in the game, she'll be like mostly cool with you and you'll do her quest line the right way. So that's the deal with that. So we put down Henryk. Yeah, so Henryk's a really cool character. So he's like the oldest hunter that people kind of recognize. I think he's not like the oldest as in he was one of the first. It's literally like he is an old man who still goes hunting. His set is cool. It's like this yellow, brown, and black set with a lot of bolt resistance, which comes in handy for fights like Darkbeast Paarl, who is all bolt damage. And you know what? I'm just actually going to go and pick his set up real quick. So hunters, after you defeat them, you can pick their sets up at the Insight shop. Oh, I should also mention, I did pick up a few things in Yahar'gul, in the early area that we can get to this point in the game. So I do have the Yahar'gul set, and I'll show that off. after I pick up Henryk's set. And that leaves us with exactly 1 insight. Alright, cool. Oh, that's the doll who's sleeping. Alright, cool. So we'll do a little bit of fashioning. So this is Henryk's cap. I like it. It's got a plume. It's fun. It's like a better version of the Yharnam Hunter cap. So this is Henryk's set. I really like it, personally. I think it just looks nice. There's just a lot of details in it that are really, really cool. Of like, I really like his prayer shawl. I really like the collar and this kind of like under decoration to the shawl. And honestly, it's just a cool set. It's really nice to see like a nice bright color. And like, it's not even a bright color, but comparatively, it's a bright color for this game. And then I'll show the Yara Ghoul set off. So this is that. You've got like an iron cage for the helmet. And you're like covered in ropes and rags. The Yara Ghoul hunters are not proper hunters. They're basically kidnappers. They basically just go and kidnap civilians and like people who are turning to do experiments on them. They're not good people, but the set looks really cool. And honestly, now I look like the Grim Reaper. So that's an option for fashion. So we'll think about that. But for now, I'm going to go Gascoigne. Let's do Henryk's for like the main set. Probably do the Charred Hunter's gloves. Probably the Charred Hunter's feet. That's like a cool fashion-y set. Iron Maiden set. Yeah, it does look like... It straight up just looks like you should be on the cover of a metal album. I'm gonna make sure my weapons are like fully repaired. So weapon durability is not a huge deal in this game. It becomes more relevant later when you're not fortifying your weapons as often, because when you fortify them, they go straight to full. But they will break down over time, so it's always good to just check in with your weapon durability. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and just drop these extra souls on some blood vials. It's always good to keep a stock of blood vials going. Even if you have plenty in storage, just like go for it. Because like that was enough that like in theory I could have popped some cold blood and leveled up. But I don't really need to. We're about to go do an area. I'm more likely to die and lose all of those echoes than I am to actually make a decent use out of them. So I might as well just invest in some blood vials. I think I got like 15, which is a crazy high number to get in one swing. So we're going to do a little bit of Cathedral Ward, but not a ton. Just so we can pick up some NPCs and then go to Henryk after that. Hey, what's up, friend? What's up? Okay, both of you are coming now? So that's what I really love about the scythe form especially. You can like swing, backdash, swing, and get like in, out, in, and do a lot of damage, but avoid whatever attacks are coming at you. So this is the gate that you open in Cathedral Ward first. You get there through that window there. There's a whole area below that gets you to that point. You can mostly just ignore the axe guys. And there's this flame sprayer hunter. He's a little annoying. Where's the crow? There it is. So I picked up a few items from here, but not too many. This is also something to note with the burial blade when you're using it. I've noticed that this swing is not as fast as the second swing. So this, if you're going against a fast enemy, what might be helpful sometimes is swing ahead and then get the back swing as like your first attack. I found that that's been really helpful with the dogs. So the poison knives are going to be right here. I picked them up so that we could do Henryk really quickly. And then this is part of Cathedral Ward. And this is where most of the NPCs are.
Oh my, what a queer scent. But I'll take it over the stench of blood and beasts any day. What is it then? I'm off during hunts, and besides, this is no place for ladies.
So if you're not catching the drift, we're talking to a prostitute right now. A very nice prostitute, but a prostitute. And she's like, oh, this is no place for ladies. Which, like, alright. Ladies can... I'm not gonna finish that.
You're not from around here, are you?
This guy is a jerk. He just is.
What, you think I'm a beast? Well, maybe I think you're a beast. And step away from our castle. What, you think this is fun? Well, I certainly don't. So I'll have nothing to do with your beast sons.
He wants nothing to do with you. So if you talk to him after talking to her, you can now get this option.
You're a hunter, aren't you, dear? Might you know of a safe place?
Might you know of a safe place? You know, we do actually know of a safe place. Oh, you're running out of incense. Well, good news. We know a place with plenty of incense. Odin Chapel. Send her to Odin Chapel. It's, like, pretty important, actually. This NPC helps you get the true ending. This quest line is actually really important. Now, for this dude...
What's this two-bit nonsense you're peddling?
He doesn't believe anything you say.
About some shelter. Well, she's a damn fool to trust an outsider. Never why? But her sort's probably just fixing to feed some of your coin. All right. What craft do you think I'm an easy mark? Yeah? Well, give me your best shot.
Alright. So here's the deal with how this guy works. He will go to the opposite location of the one that you tell him. So, you tell other lady to go to Odin Chapel, and you tell this guy to go to Yosefka.
Yeah, sorry. Too sharp for that bollocks. I know a super...
And he'll go to Odin Chapel, thereby saving him.
Even their lies are predictable.
If you tell him about Odin Chapel, he will go to Yosefka's clinic. And that'll be the end of that. Hey, bud. So this hallway is actually pretty dangerous. There's a lot of stuff hiding in the fog. Namely, there's one big guy who we can just now see. There's also a rifleman at the end of the at the end of the hallway, and he can see you through the fog, but you can't see him, which makes it really annoying and difficult to dodge his bullets. So I just picked up the church set. I'm not gonna go put it on just yet. There's also a rifleman at the top of the stairs, so when you rush to kill that guy, you can get shot by another guy. So these are just doors that you can talk to. Yeah, it's creepy. It just is weird. They don't really have much to say, so I'm not gonna spend too much time. Because I'm wearing 2 or more pieces of church garb, they believe I am a member of the Healing Church, and the interesting thing about the relationship between Yharnamites and the Healing Church is it is a distinct, like, they are distinctly afraid of the Healing Church, right? But they recognize the church's authority and power. So they kind of do this thing where it's just like, yeah, praise the church. I'm a good citizen. Don't mess with us. Like, we don't need you here. So there are some crows up there. There's also this fun alien friend. He's awful. Those guys are awful. They're the worst enemies in the game, and I hate them. And I'll show you why later. So, really the only reason we came this way is to get those 2 NPCs, because the angry guy's quest line is not actually important, but the woman's quest line is very important. So this is actually a developer note. A watchman of Bergenworth guards the gate with a password, a sacred adage of the Grand Cathedral. Basically, it's just telling you, hey, there's a door somewhere, you can't get through without the password. You get the password by beating Amelia. That's the deal with that. We can pick up some cool items. Hey, what's up, dog? Goodbye, dog. These Healing Church guys are gonna chase after me. I like to take them over here, because you're less likely to be disturbed by getting shot over here. But there are a lot of these dudes. Most of them drop blood vials. They also drop a decent amount of blood echoes. So they're actually, this whole area is actually really good for kind of this early to mid-game farming for blood vials. That's straight up a Cthulhu face. Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry. Master of all Vikings, were you not here when we were standing in Odin Chapel and determined that it was a dank plague church full of Cthulhu stuff? 'Cause it totally is. This game is really interesting in the way that it transitions from Victorian horror to Lovecraftian. Okay. So that's where you are. Again, these guys, it's just like, if you stay underneath their feet, you can mostly just get at them with no real issue. But they can pose a problem because they do a lot of damage, actually. That is one thing to... Okay. They deal a lot of damage, so that is one thing. Is like if you get caught by them, they're tough. You weren't expecting a literal Cthulhu face. Oh, don't worry. We're gonna get real Cthulhu-y. Just wait until we meet the space alien people. They're not actually space aliens, but they look like space aliens. So these are the first enemies that deal frenzy damage. You can see the frenzy meter building up there. Frenzy is dangerous. Basically, what it is it will build up and then reduce. And if it builds up all the way, it does 75% of your total health. This isn't... I'm not talking about like 75% of like your current health. It does 75% of your overall health. So it is a really dangerous status effect. Alright, so just real quick, we're not going up there. This is where you go for Vicar Amelia. So that's where that boss fight is. Over here, I'm not going to do this area yet. But over in this area, we've got some houses we can go to, as well as a couple of NPC hunter fights down there. And while we're here, I might as well point out, if I can find it... I may have to go up on this rooftop. Where is it? As long as these hunters don't charge me. Okay, they seem to be leaving me alone. Right... Oh. That camera's doing a weird thing. Right down there, you can just barely make out the abandoned old workshop. So it does actually have a real location in space. So that's the basis for the Hunter's Dream. We saw that at the end of last Bloodborne stream. And so that's right down there. It's easier to see during later time periods in the game. We'll check it. We kind of already cleared it out, but I'll make sure to point it out when it's easier to see. And heading off this way is towards Henryk. So this area can be really tough if you do it after Vicar Amelia. Personally, I think you should just do it before, because this area is stupid hard after the time change. Whereas if you do it now, it's relatively well balanced, if not a little easy. Alright, this is probably what I would consider one of the most dangerous journeys in the whole game. So basically this whole wooded area is filled with dogs that are like covered in blades and riflemen. So no matter where you are, you're in the danger zone. There is no breaks from the point past like these gravestones here that is safe. Can you pet them? Unfortunately, you cannot pet any of the dogs in Bloodborne. This would not be featured on Can You Pet the Dog. But we'll show you a dog here in just a second, because he will see me shortly. Yep. See, he's covered in knives. I don't know about you, but I don't want to pet that dog. That seems like a bad dog to pet. Those are forbidden pets. Again, these guys are really dangerous because not only can they get you by attacking, but all of those blades have hitboxes. And they will totally... Oop. Okay. Sweet, I could cheese that one out. So all of the blades have hitboxes, so even just by... They just want to sharpen your weapons. That is... I know that that was a joke, but funny enough, they actually have a pretty high drop rate for blood shards. So you can actually use them to upgrade your weapons. Where's the other guy? There he is. Alright. Yeah. Yeah, isn't that funny? They totally are there to just like drop upgrade materials. Alright. So these guys are all huddled in a group. And there are 4 of them. I've gotten a lot of practice with this area in particular, like this run. So I know I just made that look a little bit easier than it actually is. But that area is really dangerous the first time you go through here. Until you like learn all of their positions, it's pretty tough. Now coming up, we're coming up on like the end of this stretch. There are 2 dogs and a rifleman. If they catch you in their rhythm, it's real rough. But we've made it to the end. So here's why I suggest doing at least... If you don't want to do all of Henryk before Vicar Amelia, I highly recommend doing this area before Vicar Amelia and getting to the lamp for Henryk. And here's why. So right in like this zone here, there is an enemy that pops up if you're after Vicar Amelia. So this enemy pops up. They're pretty tough and they don't die. If you kill them, after a certain amount of time, they will just respawn. And it makes this area a living nightmare. So definitely, if you don't want to do all of Henryk before Vicar Amelia, I highly recommend just doing that stretch so that you can get past this gate and activate the lamp. Because that area is really brutal. Now, most of Henryk is not actually that hard. The enemies are kind of pushovers. But there are a lot of little tricks to it. There are a lot of spots that are more likely to kill you than others. And it's one of those things of like, just because of the way they built the game, the enemies aren't hard, but they have spots where they will trap you. Now, real quick, I'm just going to go and spend these blood echoes, because I'm holding 13,000, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but is a decent amount this early in the game. So I should be able to get 2 levels off of this. I'll do skill. Alright, so I got 1 level, and then I can pop some cold blood.
Farewell, good hunter.
This'll probably do it.
Welcome. What is... Very well.
And then I'm actually gonna start pumping into endurance. Endurance is a pretty useful stat, honestly. And especially, like, it gets us more swings, which we're gonna need. Oh. So we have officially moved away from the Yharnam headstone, and to go to Hewick, we go to the Frontier headstone, right next to it. Frontier headstone isn't used for a lot. I think it's just Hewick, Forbidden Woods, and Canehurst, I believe. Which honestly are some of the cooler areas in the game. A lot of people really hate Forbidden Woods because it's where the game gets really grindy and really hard. I don't mind it. I think it's fine. So here's a fun trick. Oh, hold on. They're not doing it. I'll find a different way to do it too. Let me... So you can knock into them and stun them that way by just like rolling into them. They're just dancing? Yeah, well, they're dancing for evil witch purposes. So, unfortunately, we've got to go Salem on their behinds. Now you sound like the adults in Footloose. No dancing, no fun. So if I, as this Bloodborne hunter, am the adults in Footloose, who's Kevin Bacon?
Do you hear the graveyard murmurs? Then it's almost time. Oh, I can't wait. I just can't wait.
Blood-starved beast is Kevin Bacon. Alright. Alright, yeah. Twin bloodstone shards. So those are the next level of upgrade materials. I've already pumped 2 levels into the burial blade, so we're at +5. But we will be able to get to +6, hopefully, by the end of this stream. Oh yeah, you're gonna throw Molotovs at me? I almost dodged directly into that Molotov. That would have been very embarrassing. So one thing to keep in mind, I did just get hit there because the scythe form is pretty slow. Or what's his face in the dream that you have to chase? Oh, Mikolash. You know what? I feel like Mikolash is a good Kevin Bacon candidate. He's just running around trying to have a good time. I think the funniest thing about that is if Mikolash is Kevin Bacon, I think that technically makes Murgo's wet nurse. What's his friend's name? Wilbur or something? It's a dumb name like that. God, I love Footloose. It's so dumb. What a good dumb musical. So this will turn into a shortcut. It's a very useful shortcut. Hopefully we won't have to use it more than like once. So here's a fun trick. This is a very classic Souls trap of like corner you don't realize is there and there's an enemy behind it. But we know she's there. So that trap won't work on us. It is kind of cool though, because you kind of walk down and you're like, yeah, whatever. Like, this is just a narrow hallway, and then you just get whacked from the side. Okay, so there's a fun little thing in this area that I'll try and do. It's not difficult, but it is like a little annoying to get right. Alright, okay. Any more? Oh god. Come on. Come on. Get away from your friend. There's one non-aggressive crow in the whole game, and he's this one right here. Hey, bud. Look. He's just a friendly crow. He's not bothering anyone. We're gonna leave a note. Oh, wait. What do we think? Do we want friend, darling, or small gent? What most effectively describes this crow? I think, honestly, usually I write friend. I'm gonna write small gent. Treat small gent with care. Now, if you're playing in your playthrough and you see that note, you know to rate it fine and not foul. He friend. Big gent. I don't think there's a big gent. There's an Always Sunny joke here somewhere. There's always an Always Sunny joke. What a good show. Also, like, okay, so this is the first shortcut in Henryk. It brings you back here. So, you can go from the lamp to this elevator. And go crickety to the top. And end up here with our small friend. Treat small gent with care. Alright, so this is one of those examples of a spot where the enemies are not strong, but they will kill you because it's a trap. So, that enemy is programmed to shove you off that cliff. And you just straight up die. And it's funny because if you roll through her like I did and then you let her attack, she'll still do the shove as her first move. It's like a guaranteed, like, will shove every time as the first move. There are a couple of really good traps like that in the Soulsborne, like, collection. I think my favorite is in Dark Souls 1. There is a skeleton who pushes you off a cliff, like, late in the catacombs, and it's just such a good trap. So that lady's there, and then dog. So there's another one of those, like, magic respawny enemies here. They're just really annoying. I honestly, like, and I've said this before, I don't like the gimmick of an enemy that just respawns infinitely. I find that to be very tiring. And frankly, just like, I just don't want to waste my time on it. Which is why I do this area early. So there's also another part to this farmhouse, and you can walk across the rafters to get there. And this guy's here, and he'll just shoot you when you walk through the door. Grab this item, grab this item. And that's the farmhouse. Just a nice little spot. This also looks straight up out of a horror movie. Like, everything about this place is like, yeah, I've seen that in a horror movie. Again, this is one of those spots where they've got a really clever trap set up. This girl will also push you off the ledge. So the easiest way to deal with that is just to lure her back so that she can't. And take her out. I'm surprised that that counted as a drop attack, to be perfectly honest. Oh, by the way, down there is like one of the most dangerous areas in all of Henryk. We'll get there. There is a fairly good chance that I will die there. Because there's like 6 or 7 dogs just hanging out. Can you come closer to me, please? Trading hits there. All right, that's fine. So we should have enough twin bloodstone shards now to upgrade to +6. This is also a trap. She has a command grab that does a lot of damage. A lot of the enemies in this area actually have moves like that where, like, they grab you and that's that. Lights out. So ignore those guys at first and unlock this. This is the most important shortcut. It cuts Henryk in half. Or more. And all of the enemies in this area are actually pretty tough. They're not that bad if you can parry them effectively, but these guys are actually pretty hard to parry. They've also got wide swings that do a lot of damage. And on top of all that, I don't know if you noticed, but like that thing where he like holds the axe like this in front of him, that is shielding. So he will take less damage when you hit him in that state. Additionally, occasionally you can like blink off of that. So it's just like, they're just not a good time all around. These guys are tough. Their parry windows are also a little tricky. So like that. That feels like it should parry, right? But it doesn't. Alright. So I'm not going to deal with the dogs just yet. I'm actually going to go up top here and deal with these enemies first. Because the dogs are likely to kill me, to be perfectly honest. So there's another one of those axe guys hanging out down there. There's also a trio of, like, witch villagers coming towards me on patrol. I usually just recommend letting them come to you. Because if you charge up towards them, the axe guy will activate, and he will come after you as well. Yeah, so that's one of those situations where it's just like, the more crowd control you have, the better off you are. So, as you can see, what has happened is now the axe guy is active. So we won't be able to get a sneak attack on him. But hopefully we will be able to get a clean visceral. That's a tough parry to get. I don't recommend trying that as your main one. Because if you miss, that attack will almost always kill you. And he was guarding this chest that has a bloodstone gem. So the bloodstone gem that's in the chest changes every time. I got a triangular tempering. I think the last time I played through this area, I got like a standard adept blood gemstone. Where's that? There he is. Okay. Sweet. So we got him. And we got this. So down here is where the bosses are. I'm not going to do it just yet because I want to clean out the area first. And probably spend these souls. This is not a hard boss, but it is a DPS race, and it can get pretty tough. They have a couple of command grab moves that, like, really put you in a dangerous position. So here are the dogs. There are like 2 or 3 over by that gravestone, and there are like 2 wandering around. Oh, weird. He, like, didn't notice me? Alright. So let's see if we can get some damage off outright. So as you can see, if you get them all at once, they're really dangerous. If you get them one by one, they're not that bad. Now I also have to deal with the Molotov throwing woman who fell down. And she's over here for some reason. And then I believe there are 2 more dogs hanging out with a Molotov throwing woman. Or maybe just the one? Come here. Wow. I could have sworn there was another dog here. Well, alright. We did it. Good job, team. It's really easy to fall off here and die. Just think I should mention that. So, instead of going straight for the boss, now that we've unlocked all of the shortcuts, right? I'm actually going to go upgrade the Burial Blade to +6 and invest a couple of levels. Because this run is actually pretty easy and quick once you've done it the first time. So that's really the trick with Henryk. It's not a difficult area. It just can be if you do it later in the game. But by doing it early, you have a much, much easier time. And honestly, I think it makes the game a little more balanced. It allows you to get to +6 earlier, assuming you catch all of those little bloodstone shards lying around. Additionally, I think it's just useful to get Carol runes as early as possible because it maximizes either your damage output or like your farming capabilities. It just makes the whole game a lot easier the sooner you can use Carol runes. So we're gonna go up to +6, and now we have 3 bloodstone slots. So we're gonna unequip everything from all weapons, so we now have that. Alright. Physical attack up plus 10.5%. That's just a good solid one. Now we have tempering level 2 and a tempering level 4, both triangles. So we got a 1.4, a 4.2 with slow poison effect. That could actually be pretty useful. And then we've got the red blood gem, which increases our rally potential. That only boosts it by 2.7. Now usually, I don't actually usually have a triangle gem that it's this useful this early in the game. But I'm actually going to slap this one on. Because that is going to make our damage output go up pretty significantly. So you can use the this adept blood gem. I got it from the Chalice dungeons. It's a depth level 9, so it is a good blood gem. But the big thing is it's actually a blunt damage blood gem, and the Burial Blade doesn't do blunt damage. However, it does have add physical attack plus 5.4. That's really good. And overall, it's actually better off than any other... Well, we've got a plus 4.2% that puts us up to 69 additional damage. We also could slap on the droplet blood gem, the red blood gem, and that's only 2.7%, but it gives us extra rally. And I think, actually, for right now, the rally is more important than the physical damage output, because we're actually doing pretty good damage. We got 128 base physical damage, plus 48 arcane damage, and then with our blood gems and our scaling, we've got plus 66 to physical and plus 5 to arcane. So this is actually, I think, the way to go, because the rally is going to be more important than the damage output. That recovery is really, really critical.
Welcome. What is it? Very well.
Now we can invest some levels. So why don't we do 2 into endurance?
Farewell, good hunter.
I haven't finalized a build for this playthrough yet. Usually you stop around 120 as a level. That's like what's considered the PvP stopping point. You can obviously level past that. I think like going up to 125 is not too much of an issue. It really just depends on what you're looking for, but when you're planning builds in general, it's good to build around the idea of 120 as like your stopping point. Because it just gets you in the habit of investing your levels more conservatively. Because once you get up to like blood level 120, those levels are getting real expensive. You're gonna have to farm a lot of blood echoes or be on like New Game Plus doing some boss runs. And we should pretty immediately see the difference. So there's still 2 hits. The last time I was playing through this on my like practice character, I did manage to get these down to 1-hit enemies with the burial blade at +6. May just be I had better blood gem drops, or like I had done the leveling a little bit differently. So, and here's the fun thing. We can now just ignore that dog and that woman. Oh, unless the dog sees me. Because I was dumb and needed to point it out. But for the most part, you can just ignore the dog and the woman when you go that other way. Because there are 2 staircases in that little clearing. Alright, so from this point, you just gun it. There is no reason to fight these enemies again, unless you really desperately want to, because they are just dangerous. The only thing they can do is waste your resources, really and truly. And then we can just... Oop, I got hit by that bottle there, but so normally I can get through that without them getting into this building. Oh god, I definitely don't want to deal with him. So I'm just gonna run into the boss arena. Hey, look at that, we're in the boss arena. Alright, so these enemies are the ones that I'm talking about. They respawn infinitely, and they spawn throughout this whole area. But this is the actual boss. So that's the fun little boss gimmick for this. It's got a couple of other gimmicks, but for the most part, that's what the deal is. You're dealing with invisible witches, and they spawn ads. It's honestly a really boring boss fight. I'm not gonna pretend like it's not, because it just is. Where? Ah, there you are. Big thing is you just want to get a lot of damage off really quickly. Okay, that dude's up there, so I'm gonna avoid him. Hey, there you are. Yeah, honestly, this boss battle kind of just is not fun. That's kind of the reality of it. It's unfortunate, but it's just not a good time. So, oh! So as you can see, those guys can deal a pretty significant hit to you real quick, actually. There she is. This seems like it's freaking out. Okay. That was super weird. So yeah, that's the trick. There are actually 2 witches, and if you don't kill them fast enough, they will respawn. They have a command grab, oh god, which I just got hit by. They're just a pain. Any random pieces of lore about the bosses / the arena? Honestly, not that I know of, actually. It kind of just sucks. I mean, there's not much to be said other than, like, some of the Chalice dungeon materials talk about how, like, they're often farmed out in the Henryk area. Like, I forget which items specifically, but there are a couple of items in the game that are like, yeah, you can find them in Henryk because of all the witches. But mostly it's just like... So let's look at what they drop when you beat them. They drop Bloodshot Eyeball, which is a Chalice dungeon material. Yeah, so an exquisite eyeball removed quickly after death, or perhaps even before, used to unlock the seal of the old labyrinth hintertomes. Yeah. I can try and find the, is it that? No. 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 Numbing Mist, maybe? No, this is in Canehurst. Oh, this is also an interesting thing. I forgot to mention, the throwing knives are the favorite weapon of Henryk. Throwing knife with a finely serrated blade, one of the old hunter Henryk's favorite weapons, does not cause a great deal of damage to beasts, but with deft use can distract attackers and keep them at bay. I find that really interesting because Henryk is, I believe, a saw cleaver user, but these are distinctly skill weapons. So that's just like an interesting little fact. Maybe it's bone marrow ash. Yeah, okay. So this is the deal. Additional medium that strengthens quicksilver bullets. So bone marrow ash essentially just makes your guns do more damage. According to the workshop, this is a special bone marrow ash collected from Henryk, invaluable to hunters with weak blood tinge who require the use of stronger firearms. That's, as far as I know, about all we get on Henryk. Not much more to it. Just kind of an area with witches. And that's the deal. But we do get this little interesting thing. And that is, on the far end of their boss arena, there's this door. And what do we find in this door? But a dead hunter. And what do we pick up from this hunter? But the Rune Workshop tool, which allows us to equip Carol runes. Sincerest thanks. That's a fine note. What a poor friend. And like, so what's interesting too is I think that is the Yharnam Hunter set, actually. So what that implies is that this guy, whoever he is, was not a like proper workshop hunter, but was more likely a civilian who became a hunter. So that's like the interesting piece of lore there, I guess. Let's see if we can get a close up. Man. Okay. Yeah, so that is almost definitely the Yharnam Hunter set. So this guy was most likely a civilian who became a hunter and made his way out to Henryk and got killed. Yeah, so that's about it for Henryk. There's more stuff here later. Oh, also, this boss arena is truly terrifying. Those are all just bodies. Just bodies hanging out. So that's the deal there. Yep. Yeah. Master of all Vikings just... Yeah. It's rough. It's real rough. Alright.
Welcome. What is it? Very well.
I want to get big and strong. Alright, I actually am gonna pop some cold blood to get that last level. I think thick cold blood, probably. That was maybe a little too much.
Welcome. What is it? Very well.
Or it was just enough. That's nice. Cool, so now we have 20 endurance. Yeah, Henryk is just like a really gross area in general. But those enemies that they spawn during the boss fight, they spawn all over Henryk if you do that area after defeating Vicar Amelia. Which is why I recommend, especially to new players, do Henryk first. It'll just make your life a whole lot easier. So these are Carol runes. They all do different things, and they're basically just character buffs. So we get Communion, so that lets us hold one more Blood Vial. Formless Odin, which lets us hold 4 more Quicksilver bullets. Air, which gives us more blood echoes from visceral attacks. Lake, which is a damage reduction rune, so we get physical damage reduction plus 3%. We get Moon, which is just more echoes from slain enemies altogether. And then the Beast rune, which we're not going to use because I'm not doing a Beast Hood build, but that gives you a boost to your transform abilities. So what I usually like to do actually is I equip Moon. Right now, I don't usually use Communion or Odin runes, because I think 20 and 20 is perfectly fine. So I do Air rune, and then Lake. So there is a 4th rune slot, but you'll notice that it's different. This is Oath Memory, and this is basically just factions. So different factions have different runes. You equip them to get different effects. One faction rune is just the best, period, in my opinion. And that is the faction rune for the Hunters of Hunters, because it increases stamina regen. Just straight up increases how fast your stamina regenerates. And I don't think that there is any faction rune better than that, with the exception of possibly there is a co-op faction, and it's really good to use their rune for one specific boss fight in the DLC, because you get to summon 2 really cool NPCs for that fight, and I may or may not do that. We'll see. I may do it just for the fun of it, because those two NPCs can take out Ludwig, like on their own. Oh, I totally just spoiled that. Yeah, sorry to tell you. Ludwig, the guy that we've been talking about, big boy from the Church Hunters, who has like the holy sword, and like everyone follows in his footsteps, and like he is the icon of the healing Church Hunters. You get to fight him, and it's a really cool fight. It's a really cool fight. But that's in the DLC. We get to fight a lot of cool people in the DLC. Oh, that dude's got... Oh, he disappeared. That dude's got a really cool weapon that we won't be using in this playthrough because it's a strength weapon, but it is really cool. Called the Ligarius Wheel. Alright, well, that's really all I had on the schedule for today. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave it up to chat. I have 3 options of a thing that I can take a run at before I end for the day. So, your options are, 1, I go and do some NPC hunter fights. So those are just some random hunters that are hanging out, and we can go and fight them. There are 2 of them, and we can do them whenever. I can take a run at Vicar Amelia, or I can take a run at Darkbeast Paarl, just to show you all those bosses. I'm not going to invest a lot of time. If I beat one of the bosses on the first try, that would be super cool, but I'm probably just going to do 1 run, maybe 2. Save that for next time and call it Hunter x Hunter. Alright, so those are your 3 options. So, chat, let me know what you're feeling. I'm gonna go buy some Blood Echoes to let you think it over. But I can do Darkbeast Paarl, Vicar Amelia, and I have 1 vote to hold the Hunter fights. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold the Hunter fights. So if you want me to take a run at Darkbeast Paarl, let me know. If you want me to take a run at Vicar Amelia, let me know. And that'll be the last thing we do for the day. Just show off what those bosses are. Oh, and while you're thinking, I will also go ahead and show off another cool thing. So you'll pick up messenger items. They decorate your messengers for when you leave notes. So right now, mine are wearing the top hat, but I'll just go through them real quick. So we got the black messenger hat. This coincides with the church set, which I will also put on and show off real quick. Then we've got Messenger Urn Festival, which is my personal favorite, because they all put pots on their head, and they look so silly. And it's just got a fun item description. And then we've got the Messenger top hat, which is what I had on before. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it on Urn Festival, because I think the Urn Festival is cute and fun. So I've got 1 vote for Darkbeast. Anyone else in chat second Darkbeast, or would you rather see Vicar? So this is the Black Church set. We saw it on an NPC earlier. 2 votes for Darkbeast. Alright, cool. I'm going to do one thing real quick before we hit Darkbeast. I'm going to talk to the NPCs who should have shown up at Odin Chapel. And then we will take a run at Darkbeast. He's a pretty cool boss. I like him. I usually leave him for later. Alright. Gonna party with Paarl. He also drops some interesting stuff. And if I do beat him on the first try, which I don't expect to, we can do Djura's dialogue real quick before I sign off for the day. Ooh. I think my roommates are having a fire in the fireplace downstairs. Alright, cool. So we got NPCs to talk to. So, we got the prostitute lady.
Oh, hello, dear. You weren't lying. This is a safe place. Thank you. I am in your debt.
And she gives you the curtsy
Thanks,
emote.
but I can't imagine what to offer. All I can give is my blood. But would you even take a whore's blood?
So, we have an option here. We can receive the blood treatment and get a special blood vial, but I'm gonna go ahead and refuse real quick. Blood is blood. So that is actually not true, Master of all Vikings. In most cases, yes. This has very specific quest line implications. I'm gonna go ahead and refuse for now, because I gotta talk to other NPCs. We can talk to the old lady that we saved from Central Yarnum.
Do you think I am? Well, that's a right lark, I'd say.
She still hates us.
This whole mess that Yarnum's in, it's all your fault. You put it to the outsiders.
Not outsiders' fault.
Tainted by your ilk.
Take her blood. Alright, I will take her blood. I have to talk to another NPC first. I think... Oh, wait, actually... I'll take her blood and then I'll talk to the other NPC. Oh, the old lady? No, you can't take her blood. We'll see her quest line play out a little bit more. Mostly she's just angry. So we've got the annoying dude here.
Ah, you. The swindling off-comer.
Which you'll note came to Odin Chapel because we told him to go to Yosefka's clinic, thereby saving him because he's stubborn and an asshole.
I'll spare you one nugget of advice. Beware the Lady of the Night.
So,
She deeply resents the young saint.
he's a really interesting character, actually. Everything that he says is the exact opposite.
She despises
So,
the saint for having what she
he's talking about how we shouldn't trust the Lady of the Night, and how she doesn't like the saint woman that we saved from Yargul, and that she'll eventually kill the saint woman. But if everything he says is the opposite, I think you can fill in the dots. This woman is the church lady, and she's the worst and can totally mess up a quest line. So what we're gonna do... also, I'd like to point out for just a moment. Alright. So normally the church lady looks down and will look up to talk to you. But like normally she's hanging out looking away. But when you go and talk to, if I can just get her in the frame. It's really hard to see. When you talk to this woman,
Oh, you.
the church lady turns her head to watch you.
Unless you've had a change of heart. Oh, good.
Receive blood treatment.
Come close, dear. I'm always happy to help.
So this is Ariana. There are some really interesting implications with her character. I can't get into them until we get to Canehurst, because otherwise they won't make sense. But once we get to that point in the game, I will totally unpack some of what's going on with Ariana. So here's a fun fact. Now that I've received blood treatment, I'm never going to talk to this woman again. Never. Because she will totally screw up a quest line that is... This, Ariana's quest line, is important to get the true ending of the game. If you receive blood treatment from her too many times, and you talk to the Saint woman, she gets super jealous and ends up murdering Ariana. And then you cannot complete the quest. But we got one more NPC to talk to, and it's our good friend.
Oh, the hunter. Alive and well at that. Another one you sent made it here safe and sound. This place is a haven now for so many. Thanks to you. I'm overjoyed, really, that you'd even give me the time of day.
I love him. He's so nice.
Anymore, but you did all you could. And so many owe you so much. Amazing, really. Not because you're a hunter, but because you're you.
His poor little nervous laughter. He's so anxious. I understand him.
You know, start over. Makes it easier to bear all of this, you see. You've made life easier. Thank you.
He's just so nice. So one thing that I talked over accidentally, he does mention that there's no one else worth saving. That's important to remember. There are other NPCs in the game that we will talk to. It's very important that we remember that there is no one else worth saving.
If you please, kind hunter, when the night of the hunt passes, suppose we could be friends?
Suppose we could be friends.
Now,
Just wants to be your friend.
I know I hardly deserve
He just
it,
wants
but
to be people's friends. He's so sweet. I love him.
out of line. Give it a thought.
So that's our nice friend. So that's the big thing. I just wanted to talk to those NPCs. I'm not going to talk to the church lady, because obviously that has some other implications there, and can get real rough. So to get to Darkbeast Paarl, we're going to go to Hypogean Gowl. I'm not really sure how to say that. I'm pretty sure it's Hypogean Gowl. Gowl is an old English word for jail. So it's just, we're going to the creepy jail, basically. And you go to the unseen headstone for that. All right. So we're gonna go down this way, and we're gonna dodge the witch ladies. We're gonna dodge all these enemies. We're gonna dodge these two bag dudes. And that's really the easiest way to do it, is just dodge everything and come down here. So you can actually summon in an old hunter for this fight. Defector Antal. Defector Antal's got a really interesting story, but we'll talk about that later, because I'm not going to summon him for this fight. You'll notice that is just a mess of something. And you can watch it glitch out if you watch it too closely when you enter. And this is Paarl. Hey, buddy. Buddy, old pal. Oh, God. Oh, God. I almost died right off the bat. So Paarl's not, like, crazy tough, but he does put some work in. Mostly with those AoEs. Now I'm wearing almost entirely Henryk's set right now, so I have about as high bolt resistance as I can get. He still does a pretty significant amount of damage this early in the game, though. I think he is really meant to be a later, like, mid-game optional boss. Oh god. And there we go. Hit by the AoE. You thought I was saying Carl? Get that dark boy? Yeah. So Darkbeast Paarl is actually pretty for real. When you get later in the game, he turns into nothing. Honestly, he is easiest when you're doing a Ludwig's Holy Blade build. Because you put it in the big great sword slot and just go for it. And he staggers really easily. So the other thing I can try out doing is using the transformed version of the Burial Blade and see if we can get some of that action going on. Oh, I totally went the wrong way. But that's alright. We'll be fine. And now he's awake, alive, and well. I will say, summoning in Defector Antal makes this fight pretty easy. Because, like, he just distracts Paarl. Oof. Oh god. I managed to get that right in the invincibility frames. So the thing with Paarl is that other than that AoE, he doesn't actually have much to defend himself underneath him. And that's like a typical... Oof. That's a typical, like, Souls big beastie monster trick. Is like, if you get underneath, yep, alright. I'll give it one more. I'll give it one more on Paarl, and then after that, we'll probably call it. So he doesn't actually have that much to defend himself underneath his body. Except for those, like, AoE blasts. So that's a pretty common trick for a lot of Dark Souls, like, big Beastie Boy enemies, is that if you can get underneath them or behind them... Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, that run's not starting off great. You know what? Just to show it off, I'm gonna summon Defector Antal. So this guy's really interesting because he has a weapon that was not accessible in the base game. He is using the Church Pick. Now, the Church Pick is a DLC weapon. You can get it. But before the DLC, he still had the Church Pick. So he just had this weapon that you couldn't get. So he's a very interesting character. I believe that is also an Arcane Mist sprayer, not a Flame sprayer. Defector Antal's got a lot of weird stuff going on with him. But he's obsessed with the dark beasts and their like bolt situation. Now, one thing I should note is when you summon in NPCs or other players, you may notice that I am doing significantly less damage. And Paarl's health seems to be much larger. That is because that is how it works. You do less damage when you have health. Okay, so he does actually have a flame sprayer rather than an arcane sprayer. So Paarl, when you knock him down like that, he wants to go back and get his electricity back. So he kind of cowers away from you, and that's what makes this fight like not as tough, essentially. I may actually do this with Defector Andal, which like whoops. But I guess that's kind of my point. Is like, oh god. Jesus, that hair tech is nice. Yeah, I think Paarl is one of the more interesting fights. So you've got those like cool wave effects that he gets as well. Prey slaughtered! Whoops. So you get the Spark Hunter badge. And Antal disappears. Sorry to everyone watching. I totally just did that with an NPC hunter summon, because I wanted to show off Defector Antal and his church pick. So you get the Shock Hunter badge from Darkbeast Paarl, and it gives you a little bit of insight. So this is a badge specifically given to the Friends of Archibald, the church workshop eccentric. So Archibald and his Spark Hunters are essentially the powder kegs of the church hunters. Now the powder kegs, we'll get to know them a little bit more when we talk to Djura after this. But the powder kegs are like a weird little sect that just wants to make cool weapons. Archibald is kind of like that for the Healing Church. So this badge was crafted in secret by Archibald, the infamous eccentric of the Healing Church, for his friends. Archibald was fascinated by the blue sparks that emanate from the hides of the dark beasts, and dedicated his life to its artificial reproduction in a style of inquiry that incidentally closely followed the methodology of Bergenworth. So Archibald is an academic. He makes weird weapons for the Healing Church. One weapon specifically, I don't think I actually have it in my inventory right now. I may have picked it up and put it in storage. But the one weapon that he is mostly famous for is the Tonitrus and the Mini Tonitrus. Now, the Tonitrus is a club that has no transform, but when you hit transform, it gains bolt damage. You like strike it against the ground, and it just gains a damage buff of bolt. He also made the Mini Tonitrus, which is... Oh, those are my blood echoes. He also made the Mini Tonitrus, which is a hunter tool that casts like waves of lightning out from you. And we'll pick that up and hopefully play around with it later on in the playthrough. So, does anyone recognize this door? It's this door! At that door that we couldn't open in Old Yarnum. It connects here. To the graveyard of the Darkbeast. Those wolves don't even care that I'm here. Oh, I never picked this item up. The pungent blood cocktail. Gross. Useful, but gross. Friend. You'll notice these guys just kind of melt to this weapon now. All right. So here we are back in Old Yarnum. So the way this works is when you enter Old Yarnum from the front, Djura is aggressive towards you. However, if you enter from the back, he's non-aggressive towards you. So you can go and talk to him. And he's like, "Oh, how'd you get in here? That's super weird. You want to be a cool boy like me? Or do you want to be a dick and kill beasts?" We want to be a cool boy, but also... Cool, so he is non-aggressive. And we can talk to him.
Well, well. How did you get in here? It's no matter. What brings you to Old Yarnum? I've no interest in matters further up, but you must not disturb this place. The beasts do not venture above, and mean no harm to anyone. If you still insist on hunting them, then I will hunt you first. You understand me?
So you get a pretty obvious choice here of hunt the beasts of Old Yarnum, and he will immediately turn on you, or you can spare him.
Yes, very good. I no longer dream, but I was once a hunter too. There's nothing more horrific than a hunt. In case you fail to realize, the things you hunt, they're not beasts. They're people. One day you will see. It's time you got going. But first, a farewell gift. I have no use for it anyway.
So he gives you the Powder Keg badge. So Djura is the leader of the Powder Kegs. The Powder Kegs are the group of hunters that went into Old Yarnum and, like, burned it to the ground. Their whole thing is that they want every weapon to have fire. Every weapon should have fire if you're a Powder Keg. Or at least some kind of firepower. He also gives you Brush Off Dust, which is a pretty cool emote.
What is it? Surely I need not repeat myself. Go, I say. You have the whole night to dream. Make the best of it.
So he talks about some really interesting stuff. I also really like his design. He's just a cool boy. Look at his little soul patch. He just looks old and tired. So if you can't tell, he is covered in, like, beast pelts. But also, the reason why it's gray like that is because he's covered in the ashes of his, like, compatriots. He's a really cool character. The one thing I really want to highlight from that conversation... Solid plan. Oh, put fire on everything? Yeah, it's a solid plan. So I am not actually going to kill him yet. I will eventually have to kill him to get his set, but I want to make sure that it doesn't interfere with Eileen's quest line in any way. But we will need his set because it has really high frenzy resistance, which will come in handy later. Oh, hello. So you'll note that those are now 3-hit enemies. So the thing I want to highlight from that conversation is he talks about dreaming and how he no longer dreams, but he knows the hunt. Now, the thing about that is you are the only hunter in the hunter's dream. In theory, there are parallel universe hunters and all of that, and like there are of course the NPC summons and whatnot. But you are the only hunter that is currently on the hunt. Right? And every other hunter has dreamed in the past, but no longer dreams. The way this works is that every night of the hunt, one of those NPC hunters was you, essentially. Or at least the ones that you can talk to. So, like, Eileen went through this whole process of, like, being in the hunter's dream, leveling up at the doll, like, going through her own journey. Djura did the same thing. And Djura has chosen, upon waking back up and no longer being a part of the hunter's dream, to go and protect the beasts of Old Yharnam. Which I think is really nice and really admirable. But, again, that's something to note of, like, it's weird, but all of the past hunters and all of the hunters that you run into were a part of the hunter's dream.
Very well, let me...
And I will go and find a good example of my next point before I talk too much about it. But basically, the way it works is when you die in the hunter's dream, in a particular fashion, you will awaken to the real world again and no longer be caught in the hunter's dream in like this like loop of immortality. Right? So every other hunter has willingly gone through this process and then ended it and woken up and like joined the hunt again as a mortal.
Welcome home. What is it? Very well, let me...
Oh my god. I'm so close. Alright, there we go.
Welcome, what is... Very well, let...
25 skill.
Farewell, good hunter.
So, let me see if I can find one. The gravestones around... Okay. So, see how this whole back area that we can't get into yet is covered in gravestones? All of those mark a hunter who has gone through the dream. And it goes on for a while. That whole area is memorials dedicated to hunters who have gone through the dream already. Which is just a cool thing. I also like that there's this idea of, like, the hunters have to be memorialized for, like, their service, essentially. But to finish the dream, you have to die. To, like, escape the hunter's dream permanently, you have to get to a certain part in your journey and then die. Now, of course, when we get later in the game and come upon our time, we will receive a choice. And that's where things get interesting. Alright, well, that's about it for the day. We got to talk to Djura. Got the Saw Hunter badge. You know what? Before I sign off, I'll go through the item description of the Powder Keg badge. All right, Powder Keg Hunter badge. Badge crafted by the Powder Kegs, the heretics of the workshop. The Powder Keg's adoration of complex design and big booms culminated in weapon designs that contrast with those traditionally of the workshop. The late Powder Kegs, bless their souls, had a motto: if a weapon ain't got kick, it just ain't worth it. So let's go ahead and look at what that unlocks for us in the shop real quick. Because there are some fun weapons. So it unlocks the rifle spear for one, but we already picked one up. It also unlocks the stake driver. The stake driver is exactly what it looks like. It is a, like, forearm mounted, just like swinging punchy shovel thing with a piston. A trick weapon fashioned by the workshop heretics, the Powder Kegs, favored by the retired hunter Djura. The stake driver, with its queerly complex design, violently drives thick stakes into the flesh of foes. Stake driver allows for high damage critical attacks, but is difficult to use and leaves the wielder wide open. But none of this should bother a mere Powder Keg. So that's just one of the fun weapons. I may go ahead and farm out some Blood Echoes and pick that up just to show it off, because it is fun. Oh wait, I need 18 strength, so we will not be able to show that off, unfortunately. And then the Spark Hunter badge gives us the Tonitrus in the shop, which is just like I was talking about earlier. It makes lightning. Unique trick weapon contrived by Archibald. Striking this peculiar iron Morningstar flail like a match generates the same blue sparks that blanket a Darkbeast. Unfortunately, for reasons untold, the hunters of Archibald's time did not fully take to the device. So those are the big ones. But yeah, that's gonna be that for today. I hope you all enjoyed your stay here at SquatchHunterR streams. I don't know when we'll pick up Bloodborne again. On the schedule, I have it as a possibility for Saturday, but I may want to do something a little more casual for Saturday, especially, we did Moon Hunters on Monday, and that was really successful. People really liked it, or the people that were here seemed to really enjoy it, and it was like a nice calm game. So we'll probably pick up with either this or something else on Saturday when I stream next. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Check out some of the changes on the Twitch channel. I added a couple of panels. So down underneath, you'll find a suggestion box. I highly encourage anyone who tunes in to drop some titles in there that you maybe want me to check out. stuff that either you think might be up my alley or stuff that you'd really like to see on the stream in the future, go ahead and just drop it in the suggestion box, and I will look at it. Additionally, there is a info panel, so that has a little bit more information about me if you want to get to know me a little more and know a little bit more about my background. I talked about it on the first stream, but don't talk about it too much. But basically, it just comes down to my unique approach in talking about games and like the way they do storytelling. Additionally, you'll find links to the archive YouTube as well as the stream Twitter. Please go and follow the stream Twitter. Any announcements on schedule changes or polls that I'm putting out for like things that I'm thinking about trying out, all of that will be found on the stream Twitter. So please go ahead and follow me over on Twitter. It's just at SquatchHunterR on Twitter. But again, the link is in that info panel section. Additionally, the archive YouTube link is down there. So basically, the deal with the archive YouTube is until I reach a certain level on Twitch, my VODs will not be permanently saved here. Additionally, last time the VOD got a little messed up on Twitch, so I took it down, but that will be up on the archive YouTube. Right now, I've only got the first stream up there because I had some upload issues, but I do have other streams edited from the past, so later this week you should be getting mostly up to date on the archive YouTube. So streams 2 through probably 4. Hopefully I can get all of the streams up by the end of the week. But if I don't, you'll definitely get at least a few. So if you missed anything and you want to go back and check it out, that's the place to do it. And that, again, that link is going to be down in the info panel below the video. So please check out all the changes, drop me some titles you're interested in, and definitely follow me on Twitter, because that is how you can get all of the news for the stream. Anyway, just a real quick before I sign off for good, I want to thank S'mores Pop-Tart for following in between last stream and this stream. I really appreciate it. Right now, we're actually aiming to get up to 50 followers so that I can become a Twitch affiliate and maybe get a little bit of ad revenue from these, because as much as I love doing these just to produce good content and just to like build a great community with you all, it would be really nice to get some help so that I can invest that money back into the stream and help really create better content as we move forward. So please, if you like this, follow here so you get notified. Also, if you have friends and you think that they might be interested in this, tell them to hop on for a stream. I'd love to see more people, and I'd love to get chatting with people. So that is the one thing, is like I am trying to get to 50 followers as kind of quickly as possible, and the goal for this first year is to eventually hit 100 followers. And when that happens, I will be thinking about, maybe starting up a Discord so that we can have kind of a constant community even when I'm not streaming. You will be able to like interact with other people who come and enjoy the streams there. So that's something that is in the works. So please tell your friends, tell anyone you know that you think might like this. Please follow here and over on the Twitter. So thank you all for tuning in. It's been really great having you. I'm glad we got to do really more than I even expected to get to today. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time. All right. Have a good evening, everyone.